Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by lineups.com. Nate and Josh here on Wednesday with 12 games in the association to run through. So a nice full slate here. We're going to be taking a look at some sides and totals. Also have our player prop bets for you in this episode. So make sure to like and subscribe to that channel. Continue to follow along with us all season. Let's get right into the Hornets and the Raptors here playing in Charlotte. And you do like the visiting Raptors to handle business.
Yeah, I mean, I went through on Monday why I like the Raptors now that RJ Barrett's back. Their offense was completely in the tank, and since he's come back, they've won 10 of 11. And you look at the splits with the Hornets this season, and it's pretty much tells the story. Like the Hornets beat them twice without RJ Barrett, and the Raptors shot terribly, 40 and 31%. The second loss being right after a shootout on a back-to-back night. So, I mean, another excuse there, but then they played him with RJ. Toronto shot 50 and 40%. The game was only close and RJ hit the go-ahead shot down the stretch, and the game was only really close due to a bit of a free throw discrepancy in that one. I mean, Knippel has played well against these Raptors, but I worry about the defense for the Hornets with Kalkbrenner out. Diabate, while he can board up, I mean, he allows the highest field goal percentage on the team, is not much of a rim protector. But really, if you want to talk about spot here, Hornets coming off their most impressive win in years, right? Blowing out the Thunder in OKC. They've won two straight. Three other times this season. And after those, they are 0-3 with a negative 16 average margin of defeat. They are 4-8 straight up after a win on the season. It's kind of the situation with the LaMelo-led team where as soon as they start to get cocky and too free-flowing, that's when they get got. They're just not a particularly great team. But the key stat is the Raptors are the number 2 3-point defense on the year, allowing 34%. In their last 10, the Hornets are number 1 by far in the percentage of their points scored off threes. They're getting nearly half their points off threes. So this rangy Raptors defense should hone in on that. And then on offense, I just don't think there's enough rim protection for the Hornets to keep these big boys from getting to the rim.
That's fair. That should be the case. They were also with at least one center besides Musa in the other games for Charlotte. So you do like the Raptors to keep attacking the rim a bunch, and they've been awesome, man. I mean, the Hornets are 4-1 in their last 5, second best offensive team in the league. That's funny. I don't know what to do with it. I know they're not very good on defense still, and they play at a fast pace. So Raptors D should be able to handle things. We said that about the Thunder, but I don't know if they're going to catch the Raptors quite by surprise after beating them twice this year. It's a little bit of a different story. So Knicks and Clips here, and this is just me continuing to follow the Knicks trend of being dog poo on the road and really good at home at MSG. And now they're playing the Clippers at home with a 4.5 point spread here. James Harden is still questionable, missed the last game, and they did pull out the win by 1 against the Dubs there. Kawhi, 10 for 25. They also relied on a pretty nice game from John Collins, who's, I think, priced a little bit low in this one, even if James Harden does play. But more about the Knicks, it's just they've got the crazy splits this season, 15-4 at home, and then 7-9 on the road. Actually, not even as crazy as the Clippers splits, 4-13 on the road for the Clips on the season, 9-9 at home. Done a lot of their work recently at home as they've been sort of winning. You know, they had that little 4-gamer with Kawhi going off and off and off. But I don't like what they're going to need to do against the Knicks. The Knicks defense is good at stopping what the Clippers do, which is play iso ball and really depend on guys to hit shots either from above the break or at the rim. And the Knicks are good in those spots. They're not good against spot up guys. They're not good against catch and shoot. James Harden's assists are down because Kawhi plays iso ball. That's how he scores the majority of his points. That's how James Harden scores the majority of his points. And he does do really well in the pick and roll, which he will have Zubac in this game for. Knicks are very good limiting the pick and roll ball handler specifically in the pick and roll. They play the drop defense, and that does give the pick and roll, the roll man a little bit more of an option. Like Zoo assists might be something you consider, that type of thing, but they're going to force the ball out of Harden's hands if he's out there. If he's not, then they're just going to focus on Kawhi with Anunoby taking the primary matchup, and all of the other guys like even Jalen Brunson, or honestly, I don't even know if they put Brunson on Chris Dunn like they normally would, because I think you want him open, and then you want the guy who's guarding Chris Dunn to blitz Kawhi essentially. Like that might be there's a lot of game plans that Mike Brown can run with his defense if James Harden is out, and if he's not, then I still like him to be able to handle the pick and roll stuff. So I'm going to take them to cover at home here.
Yeah, I mean the OG on Kawhi matchup is really where you hang your hat here, right? The experience playing on the same team with him, and just a great body to throw at Kawhi. And if Harden doesn't play, then I mean, where do the Clippers go offensively? We know the Knicks can score at home; they shoot the lights out at home. The Clippers' offense is still a bit hit or miss. Basically, if Kawhi is just going to hit a bunch of tough mid range shots, so
Yeah.
all right, so Celtics are -9, and we just got all these dudes upgraded to probable for the Nuggets now. So apparently Jamal, and Gordon, and Brown, and THJ are going to play. So this number should move. And to me, I like the Celtics money line. I like them teased down under 5, along with something like Detroit, which is also around this on the spread. I just think the Celtics are absolutely going to win this game. I think -9 is a bit rich with all those guys in there for the Nuggets, but this is a punt spot for Denver. So I'm surprised that they're playing, but I don't know about their effort or their energy level. 3rd and 4 nights after the OT win. This is the final game of a 7-game hellish road trip where obviously they lost their MVP. And during this 6-game trip, the Nuggets have the worst defensive rating in the league at 126. They allow the second worst percentage on mid-range shots. Hello, Jalen Brown, and 47% on corner threes, which is 5th worst. So Celtics, who are just absolutely lighting people up, and have won 10 of their last 12 at home. But then you look at their defense in their last 12 overall, number 1 limiting fast breaks, 2nd paint points, 5th best rebounding rate, and number 1 limiting free throw attempts. So like the only weakness is if you can hit a bunch of threes. And I mean, THJ coming back in there, it makes it a little scarier, but I mean, this Nuggets offense we haven't seen a large sample size without Jokic. And I don't think that there's much for the Celtics here to worry about on the defensive end. And they're just dogs, man. Like whether the Nuggets have their guys or not, Joe Maz is going to have them ready to play, and at home, it's a big home court advantage there at the Garden. So I'll be a homer here and say the Celtics handle business.
Yeah, I can see that easily. I mean, they've been quite a surprise this year. Obviously, we know. So I think there's plenty of reason to like them in a game that they're going to be geared up for. And whatever version of the Nuggets we see is they're not. If it's all the backups, I don't think they're catching the Celtics by surprise the way they caught the 76ers like that at this point. And the other thing would be if the other guys are playing, how many minutes are they playing? So I think the Celtics just kind of come in a little bit more focused, like you said, and take care of business. And Denver probably, even if they have guys, just ends up punting at some point. Looking at the Hawks and Pellies, going to go under in a very, very high total here for two teams that it might seem scary to go under against, or in a game that they're both playing. But the Hawks are just not the same team at this point. And Trae Young is on the move, like he's going somewhere. That's been reported at this point that like the Hawks and Trae's camp were both fine, being like, Trae's not going to be here. As soon as we can find a way to get him out of here, he's gone. And so when you look at now the numbers with and without Trae, it's just a different team entirely. Everything's just really, really stark. The defensive rating goes down to 115 without Trae from 122 in the games that he's been playing. In the games that he's playing, the other team is averaging 127 points per game in 10 games with Trae Young. That's insane. Just to give up that many points over 10 games, 117 points. So that drops by 10 points per game without Trae. And in addition to the defense being good, that pace goes from second fastest in the league at about 103 down to about in the just outside the top 10 at this point, about 12th in terms of pace at that point, with about a 101 pace. Yeah, just like middle of the pack, really. So everything just points to that. When you look at the Pels at this point now playing on the back-to-back as well, I don't know that we have exactly who's going to be playing, but we know I think Herb Jones is likely going to be out, which obviously hurts your defense, but he's also been really instrumental on offense as well as a connector last night with a really nice plus-minus, best of the starters there. Not going to be out there for that. So you're talking about more Jordan Poole, Sadiq Bey still not around, crucial for their shooting. I just don't. I mean, we're going to see like Jordan Hawkins and Carlo Makovich in this game. So this isn't just like some super fast-paced Pelicans team that you can rely on to score against this Hawks squad. I mean, if you think the Hawks are going to put up like a $135 against the Pellies, then okay, maybe you're nervous, but I don't see the Pelicans getting to 115 in this game. So without Trae, these games are at about 234 a pop. And I just think that we're still getting that bump with two teams that you look at and you go, well, yeah, I would never take an under. But once you get to 247.5, we've had a lot of success going under on these totals from 247 to 250 this season.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a chance Zion doesn't play right on the second leg of a back-to-back, and the Pels with Herb Jones back, they're a little bit better defensively. But I still like Jalen Johnson on the other side of this to just have rebounds and assists, which is kind of plays into the under in terms of like I'm not chasing his 25 points to add to this. I do think a triple double low is live at 2-1 or better. Look, as far as the RA, he's hit this in 9 of his last 12 without Trey. He's averaging basically 12 and 10, so almost averaging the triple double. Come up just short a couple times. In December, only Nikola Jokic has more assist points created than Jalen Johnson, who's just absolutely the heartbeat of this team and a reason why they're totally willing to move on from Trey and just play through this giant wing, who, by the way, is still plus money, like 3-1 to win most improved behind Denny Avdia, who's having a great season, but worth a look here. Just Jalen Johnson is just one of the best offensive players in the league now. And it was close to winning that award a couple of years ago. But as far as the situation, like I'm with you in terms of the Pelicans on a back-to-back. Their offense is much worse. They score 5 fewer points per game. They allow 13.5 OREBs per game and more defensive rebounds because they don't shoot as well. So, and then Herb Jones playing, if he does go here on the back-to-back, actually can help with the assists if he's on Jalen and forcing him to kick a little bit more. But the Hawks, they should get out in transition and shoot a bunch of threes here. Just the easiest way for him to rack these up. Pels on a back-to-back allows nearly 17 made threes a game on back-to-back. On the road in general, they allow 30 assists per game. For what it's worth, they allow 30 assists per game against the Eastern Conference, and the Atlanta team total is freaking 130. So if they're going to get anywhere near that, it's going to be, and Trae Young is not playing, it's going to be a healthy dose of Jalen Johnson playmaking and rebounding.
Yeah. I think we can rely on the Trae Young questionable tag being an out tag until further notice. So they're just going to keep playing that game. The only fear is the blowout. If he doesn't play quite as much, then that would be the only issue. Somebody's going to be punishing the rim and somebody's going to be catch and shoot threes for this
team.
Didn't
dude have a triple double in like 18 minutes once this year though? So like maybe he can do it even with the blowout.
That would be insane if it was 18 minutes, but I'm sure
it was a record. I believe it was around Westbrook's record. Yeah.
That's insane either way. But let's go to that Detroit and Chicago game. And this is a guy I was eyeing before we saw what his props were. And if Kobe White doesn't go, this is great. If Kobe White doesn't go, this is going to go up by 2 points as well. If Kobe White does go, I still think 13.5 is plenty reasonable when you expect him at 28 minutes with the thin rotation that we're going to see. The other thing is, even if Kobe White does go, Matas might not go. And I expect one of those guys to sit in this game. Matas did not look good coming out of the last game for the Bulls during a game that he was playing really well too. But for Ayo here, when he's playing around 28 minutes, anything like 26 and above is about 16.5 points per game this season for him. When he's played without Kobe this season, he's at 16.5 points per game as well. Those things aren't even correlated. He's played 28 minutes in a number of games that Kobe White has been available, and Giddey's out. I don't know if I made that clear, but he's still out. He's going to be out. So until further notice, I think it's probably another like at least week or so that I saw for Giddey. So like this is still just guys being out. Ayo Dosunmu being the guy to step up and probably entering the starting lineup too, because if Kobe White plays, then he takes Trey Jones' spot in the starting lineup. I don't think you don't start Trey and Kobe White together, especially when that means one of them is guarding either Duncan Robinson or Ausar Thompson, and Ausar Thompson will feast on either of those guys and just jump on top of their head on his way to the rim. So Ayo's got to be out there to guard the 3 spot, or even if he's out there to just chase Duncan Robinson around. I do think he'll I don't know if I keep saying Amen, but I keep meaning Ausar if I do. I already forgot. You know which twin I'm talking about, the one in Detroit. So I do think in this spot for Ayo, you get the minutes, you get the fact that the usage is going to be there, but regardless of Kobe White's there, it's not even just dependent on him now with all the other guys out. I don't think this is going to be an awesome game. If Detroit decides they want to take care of business, then it's not going to be super close, but I'm still going to bank on Ayo being out there enough to get his in this one.
Yeah, and Buzelis is upgraded to probable, but okay. Yeah, but I mean, he's sick. So we've seen guys play through this illness a lot here in December, January, and just not play that well. But yeah, I mean, maybe that helps the Bulls keep things a little bit closer. And looked it up. Yeah, under 17 minutes. He had a triple double earlier this week and finished with like 18 and 16 in terms of the peripherals. So yeah, that was crazy from Jalen Johnson.
Wow.
On the other side of that game with the Bulls, I think the Bulls are going to miss a ton of shots. And B-Ball Paul, who's had 8 rebounds in both of his spot starts so far, I think that can tick up here. And they're they're giving you good odds because he's more of an unknown. I mean, I'm willing to take it here if you just think of him of the Duren role, who gets 18 rebound chances in just 27 minutes per game in his last 8 before he went down. Beef Stew is out there, but he's averaging 3 fewer rebound chances than B-Ball Paul in these last 2, who's getting 15.5, highest on the team. And Beef Stew, his rebound chance rate was even lower with Duren. He's kind of been more versatile in terms of in and out of the perimeter, not manning the paint as much. And now it's just kind of a plug and play situation. The way you're Detroit, you just want to play that sinking in defense and have your center clean things up. The center doesn't really defer on rebounds. The center grabs the board, and offensively, like he has 9 OREBs in these 2 games. So I mean, the defensive rebounds haven't even been a big thing here in a close game and then a blowout of your Knicks. But the Bulls in their last 2, with Jalen Smith out concussed, Zach Collins, of course, has been out, are allowing the most offensive rebounds per game, 16.5. They're allowing the second most rebounds overall, and they have a 104 offensive rating since losing Josh Giddey. So 16 dudes in these 4 games since losing Giddey have at least 10 rebound chances. Would expect B-Ball Paul to be around 18 potentially rebound chances, as long as this isn't another blowout, but he can also just clean up the offensive glass and get there that way.
Yeah. Thinking about it a little bit too, like it could be a bit of a letdown game for the Pistons, who we talked about last game, where I was like, I'm taking the Pistons to beat the Knicks. I don't care who's playing for them. If Cade's out there, especially, they waxed them by 31 in what felt like their early Super Bowl, their midseason Super Bowl, because of the revenge from the playoffs. So, and sort of the declaration that like we deserve to be the number 1 team in the East right now. This feels like a little bit of a letdown in a way that like the Bulls could hang around enough to keep the starters out there for the Pistons, which I think is a good thing for B-Ball Paul. And the way I look at it is like, I don't even know if it's center or power forward for him with Beef Stew. I know Beef Stew is a little bit better at defending the rim, which only means he's going to go after shot blocks and guys that are attacking the rim if that happens. And it also, Beef Stew will be on likely on the Vucevic matchup, which pulls him further from the basket. B-Ball Paul going to be a little bit closer. I think it's a good look for his rebounds here. And I'm going to go with Deuce as well. You can still get 10.5 for Deuce. And this is going to just kind of be like a push the button kind of play, as I'm going to call it, which is like, don't overthink this, man. Just push the button. If you get Deuce at 10.5 points, push the button. And the reason being, at this point, like 26 minutes is a very solid projection. And I'm not going to call it his floor, but it's close to it. I would say his floor is like 24 minutes, though, right? And you should expect him to play 26. Without Josh Hart, you can expect him to play. There's plenty of games he's going to play as high as 30, 32 minutes as well. And often it's going to be about 28. So all those numbers I just threw at you equate to Deuce McBride scoring more than 10 points consistently. He's averaging 15.5 in the games where he does get up to 26 to 30 minutes in that range. Even if you just take all the games where he's like tapped out at 26 and you give him like a floor of 22, he's still at about 13.8 points per game in that situation. I'm really not scared of the matchup at all when you talk about him playing against backups and not having Chris Dunn out there and Derek Jones not being available in this game. So there's really not much defense on that second unit for the Clips. And look, if Harden's not out there, just even less probably. You're talking about Kobe Sanders in the starting lineup now. It's just going to be plenty of holes for a Clippers defense that like should be awesome when it's fully manned. It's just not going to be in this one.
Yeah, Harden upgraded to probable, so
okay, great.
That's great news for your Knicks stuff and for Deuce to score. I mean, without DJ, they've really got 1+ defender on the perimeter, and Chris Dunn should be spending almost all of his time on Brunson. So that leaves McBride open for the spot up. So that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm starting to think of a Chris Dunn under boards. If it's at 3.5 or 4.5, I know it feels scary, but like he's just going to be stuck on Brunson 35 feet from the basket. So he has a history of not rebounding against that team too. So that's a look now that we know that Harden's out there and Brunson will be guarded by Dunn. But that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, coming back to you each and every weekday with that NBA action. So until we see you next, happy betting.